Now please go nuts and welcome to the stage, Annie Louey!
Hey, somebody give me a drink.
Hello, hi everyone, how are we going? Sweet, my name's Annie. My parents were not the smartest people. They named me Annie and my sister Anna. Not a joke. My parents never got through page 1 of the baby naming book. No, they did not. I have an unusual background, I suppose, right? Chinese Australian. I'm in a unique position where I've seen my mum eat a meat pie with chopsticks. I quit my day job this year to pursue comedy, and I miss working in an office though, because that is where material would rain down from the ceiling straight into my pocket. On the second last day of work, I overheard a girl in the office saying this: "Is a lemon a type of melon?" And the person in the conversation with her said, "No, Hayley, it's a lemon." As I get older, I find I start sounding more and more like Judith Lucy. Don't know why. This same girl, Hayley, the first day I started my job, I overheard her across the office yelling, "Oh my God, this coffee literally tastes like shit." And I was there like, literally? And she kept going. She said, yeah, it literally tastes like somebody sat on my face and shat in my mouth. And I was like, oh my God, she meant literally. And that's when I started thinking, have you ever felt like you're literally too smart to have a job? I've worked some pretty odd jobs. I once worked at a hotel doing catering, and the worst shift I ever had, a girl sat at a table and she was so drunk that when I started serving the dessert, she just threw up. She just went bleh. And because everyone else was so off their face, they just ate around her. Yeah, nasty, right? But it doesn't compare to my sister, who works at the Macca's on the corner of Flinders and Elizabeth Street. Like, yeah, that is rough, right? So I asked her, I was like, what's the worst shift you've ever had? And she said, well, one time I had to clean feces out of the bathroom sink with my hands. And I was like, oh, damn. How do you do it, man? How do you do it? And she said, it's quite simple. You put on the gloves, you start scrubbing, and then soon enough, your soul leaves your body. I've also worked at a radio station before. It was a Christian radio station, and I'm not religious whatsoever. I just needed the money. And when they called me up for the interview, I didn't know it was them. I thought it was my best friend calling. So I picked up the phone and I said, yo, what up, man? How's it going? Oh, hey. And they still hired me, right? They still hired me, and they told me 6 months later it was because I was so confident on the phone that day. And I had to play it cool, so I was like, well, you know, God's gift. I had a run-in with a guy in the kitchen when I was still working in the office. He came up to me, had never spoken to me before, and the first thing he said was, well, aren't you a quiet one? I was like, what the fuck are you meant to say to that? I was like, I'm not actually that quiet, I just don't like you. I've just come out of a relationship just a couple of weeks ago. It was a long-term relationship, came to an end, and I reckon the worst flaw about this guy was how drunk he was. Right, he's the worst, most forgetful drunk I'd ever met. I came home one night and he was smashed, and he'd gone and made 4 coffees. And I said to him, who are these coffees for? And he said, my family. And I was thinking, we all know what it's like to be blind drunk, but have you ever been barista drunk? Because that's next level. It still went better though, this relationship, than the one before it. I got dumped by a guy the day before my wisdom teeth surgery. Yeah, that's pretty brutal, right? I don't think anyone in this room will ever know what it's like to have your heart and your teeth ripped out at the same time. And not only that, but we had our differences, right? Like, some things you might need to go to a therapist to resolve, right? For example, my worst fear is heights. Meanwhile, his worst fear was that people were jerking off into the soap in public bathrooms. I was like, I can't help you with that. And I feel like we had way too many conversations about jizz soap that I was not equipped to handle. Oh, and then there was a time. He put his arms around the wrong Asian girl at a party. There's no punchline to that joke, it's just therapy for me, so thank you. I'll tell you one more story and then I'll head off. I just went to the doctors recently. He's a great guy, his name's Dr. Chin, shout out to him. And I've known him ever since I was a kid, so he knows now that I do stand-up comedy. So what he does is he collects all of his stories and then he waits until I have an appointment and then unleashes them onto me. So he came in, I sat down the other day and I was like, oh, how are you going, Dr. Chin? And he said, very good, very good. The other day, I had an old lady come in. She sat down and she said, Dr. Chin, you're a very rude man, you know that? And he said, why am I rude? I haven't even said anything. And the old lady says, you have a vagina on your wall. And then Dr. Chin looks at the wall and says, that's not a vagina, that's an ear. Hey everyone, you've been so much fun. My name's Annie Louey. Have a great night.
Give it up for Annie Louey!